Okay, so today we're going to be doing some meal prep. If you're new here, my name is Imi and we do all things to do with seasonal eating, sustainable living, and just generally trying to get outside a little bit more. Just a quick thing, if you do like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe because it really helps my channel in that YouTube algorithm, and yeah, it really helps me to know that you like these kinds of videos too. Okay, so today I'm making an easy lasagna with so many layers, as you can see. I'm basically using something that I've made before, but I'm turning it into a lasagna. So I love Rainbow Plant Life, I'm sure you all know this by now if you're a follower of my channel. And I basically used her 10 ingredient bolognese sauce and just made it a little bit different. I added a red pepper and I also just omitted some of the ingredients that were a little bit more expensive because I wanted to make something that was affordable, easy, quick, and healthy. And I also use fresh herbs instead of dried, and then I used green lentils instead of red lentils because these were things I already had in the cupboard. Okay, the bolognese sauce is kind of cooking away, and I have put the lasagna sheets out so that they are not sticking together with a bit of olive oil. And while we do that, we're going to get started on the chicken noodle soup, the vegan chicken noodle soup, so that we get everything done this afternoon. Because usually when I do meal prep, I really take too long. So I'm really trying to do this as quickly and efficiently as possible. So this vegan chicken noodle soup is very much an American version. Well, from what I've gathered about the way that American chicken noodle soup is. But what I put in mine were just some celery, some onions, and some carrots as the base because they add so much delicious flavor. I added them to a pot just to cook I added the onions first. And while I did that, I actually decided to make the bechamel sauce, which is why there's some vegan butter going into a different pan. And then once the butter had melted, I added the flour and I added oat milk and some black pepper. This will of course go in the lasagna. Back to the chicken noodle soup. I added some nutritional yeast, some bay leaves, some fresh herbs once all of the other things had kind of cooked down a bit. And then I added a lot of stock. I mixed it with a sort of no chicken stock as well as a roasted garlic stock. I used soy curls and I used fresh kale. I also used these noodles. Well, this is what I would call pasta, but Americans seem to call it noodles, so there we go. So once the sauce has been cooking away for about 25 minutes, I made up the lasagna, but I did not cook it. This is something I learned online, and I also made the bechamel sauce very runny so that it wouldn't get dried out in the fridge. Any of the extra sauce left, I put into a container and I could have it with pasta. Once the chicken noodle soup was ready, I also put that in a container. To be honest, we ate the rest of it for dinner. I ran out of time yesterday doing the meal prep, so we're going to get started with the bagels and the tortillas and baked beans. I have really got into baking recently, and bagels is something I have been trying to perfect. So I just made the yeast and the water and the sugar and let that bloom for 10 minutes. And then I added it to the dough. I forgot the salt, of course, so I tried to knead that in. Whether that worked, I'm still not quite sure. And then I left that to rest for an hour. Okay, so while this rests for 1 hour, we're going to start making the baked beans. And I'm just going to put a bit of oil on this so it doesn't stick to the side and put a tea towel over the top so it doesn't dry out. To be as efficient as possible with my timing, I decided to make the baked beans while this was resting for an hour. Now all the recipes will be in the description below, so don't worry if you miss anything out. We're just putting some garlic and some onion into a pan and cooking them for about 4 or 5 minutes and then adding the garlic in. Then we add in, I added some chili flakes in because I didn't have a serrano pepper, which is what my partner usually suggests. And then I put some brown sugar, some apple cider vinegar and some soy sauce. Once that has kind of cooked down a bit, that's when I add these tomatoes. And I just let that cook while I got ready with the bagels again. I split them into about 8 and folded them in on themselves, turned them into little balls, and then I'm going to be letting these rest for another 10 minutes. You've probably seen me make these so many times. I love baked beans, but I love them smooth, so I just hand blended everything and then I added in the beans. I did a mixture of chickpeas and Royal Northern beans, I think that's what they have here, but I usually use haricot beans. Then once the bagels are ready, I made the holes. I completely forgot to boil the bagels. So the one that I put the topping on, I've just put that in the oven to see how that turns out. But the rest of them, I'm just boiling a pot of water now to boil them, and then we're gonna dress them and put them in the fridge. In the oven. Dress them. Mixing my words today. You know when I say dress them, I'm just giving them a glaze, giving them everything seasoning, and then we're putting them in the oven. It's a few days later and we're finally going to make the lasagna. So I'm just heating up the oven, then we're going to put it in, and then we're going to have it with some salad because it is cold outside, but we also want to start having some greens because it is spring and we'll be missing those fresh vegetables and stuff as well. So yeah, I just wanted to show you a little bit how we actually eat the food that I prepare, because sometimes you just make it and you forget about it and you don't see how it turns out when you actually just make it. So yeah, I'm gonna make that and gonna have a salad as well. I was really pleased with how this lasagna turned out because it really was a lot quicker and a lot easier than lasagnas that I've made before. To prepare this, I honestly just put some vegan cheese on top and then put it in the oven covered for about 10 minutes and then uncovered for about 20 minutes. We had this with some fresh spring greens because it's so nice to have them around now in season. At the weekend, we also made the baked beans with a kind of full English breakfast type style meal, and we had an avocado as a treat because obviously they're not in season. I really hope you enjoyed this short video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and I hope you enjoy next week's video, which I've been working on for a really long time and will be a lot longer. Thank you as always for being here. I really appreciate it, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day.